Hidden Placket pattern making. I'm going to show you 2 ways to make patterns for hidden plackets. Hi, my name is Jean and welcome to Pattern Studio 101. This channel is all about pattern making. Hidden placket. As its name, you don't see buttons from outside. You have 2 layers of plackets, so the buttonholes are on the under placket. When you button up, the top layer of the placket will cover the button. You can see this on blouses or shirts like this, or it can be on jackets or coats. I'm going to show you 2 ways to make patterns for hidden button plackets. You can make a one-piece front and fold it. It's usually for blouses or shirts when you use like thin fabric. Another way of it, you can make an extension from the front and facing. This is for kind of thick fabric or outer. Let's start with the one for coats and jackets. This is an example of a jacket front and facing. You see the button placement? So this is a center front. So the buttons are on the center front, and this is the extension for the button closer. In this example, this is a 3/4 of an inch. So to have the buttons on the center of the placket, you are going to have the stitch like this. So this is going to be the placket width. It is 1.5 inches. Let's zoom out. So I'm going to extend the center front 1.5 inches. So this is the center front. This is the edge of the front. And this will be folded to this dash line. For the jacket or coat, you don't have to have this placket all the way down to the hem. You can add placket extension like this, only cover the buttons. But you need this distance to have enough room for button up and unbutton. And later, you are going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. When you stitch here, this under layer of placket will go up to here. On the facing, you can draw the exactly same as the front. Then when you stitch up, it's going to be like this. Here's the center front where the button is, and this is the edge of the front, and you have stitch here and still have 1/2 inch seam allowance after the stitch. If you want to make this under layer smaller than top layer, then you can shorten this distance. So in this example, this is 3/4 of an inch, right? From the center front to the front edge. So leave it 3/4 of an inch on the center front, but for the facing, shorten the extension by about 1/8 of an inch. Then when you match both center front, the extension on the facing is shorter than the front. Then you will have slightly different width of placket. This is an example of jacket hidden placket. You can have stitches between the buttons like this, and you see the buttonholes on the under placket. Let's take a look at blouse. In this example, I have only 3/8 of an inch extension for button closer. So the placket will be 3/4 of an inch. So you want to have stitch like this. So make an extension like this. This width should be a little bit bigger than 3/4 of an inch. Otherwise, when you stitch this line, it's not going to stitch under layer. So add about 1/8 of an inch. This under layer of the placket should be a little bit wider than the placket you want to make. And if you see this neckline, it is mirrored by this edge line. So when you fold in, this neckline will be the same as original one. So now you have top placket. This will be top layer And this will be under layer of the top placket. You still need under placket. So those two will be top placket, and this will be the under placket. And the buttonholes will be here. And when you cut, you need seam allowance. Maybe 3/8 of an inch, even 1/4 of an inch, you still need seam allowance. And when you finish, it will be like this. 4 layers, and seam allowance goes in the placket. Here's the center front. Nothing will be on the top placket. Buttonholes will be under placket, those 2 layers. And buttons will be the other side. This is an example of a blouse. You see the under placket is a little bit narrower than top placket. And you can have tack instead of stitch between buttons, and you have buttonholes on the underlayer. If you have a hard time figuring out armhole depth and sleeve cap height, I made a simple chart for you. Visit my website, fattenstudio101.com, and download it. I organized the armhole depth and sleeve cap height by design. This channel is totally dedicated for young professionals to take their pattern making skills to the next level. Have a beautiful week. See you next time.